All right. Hello, and good evening, good afternoon, good day. This is video 747 plain. This is video 747. Just kind of a touch in, check in type video. Um, Been a really rough couple days for me, and I guess I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about it. I had a real good friend today give me some advice, and I'll paraphrase it as best I can remember it, but something to the effect of that we don't always know the circumstances that might get us to uh, have sort of emotional indigestion, and to get it out. If it was indigestion, you would belch it out, kind of like that, uh, or you might cry it out since it's emotional. And I definitely am under a lot of stress right now. There's just a lot of things going on, a lot of things going on in the world, and with me, I am uh, trying to get a supervisor position at my work, and so that's like my probably my biggest stress is I've already had an interview, and so I might get a second interview. I get a call back to come in. Just things could happen. As always, we're just one phone call. Could get a phone call, could get an email, more than likely an email. Please, you've been invited to come in for an interview, for second interview. With the pandemic, I don't know. It could be another Zoom interview. It could just be a job offer, or a rejection. You just don't know. And so I've kind of been like every day, checking my email and checking the job board and everything. Uh, so for me personally, it's a bit of just some stress. Um, but just also this environment is just a lot of stress in in the world of transgender. Um, we're in the fourth month of the year, and so far 8 states have passed legislation to restrict trans healthcare in their states for children. And the state of Texas has gone so far as to consider making it um, child abuse if a parent takes their child to get medical counseling or blockers, I mean androgens. The state legislature is telling parents that if you address your child's needs, you are committing child abuse. I mean, that is just so weird and off base. Um, and I think just collectively, just over time, all of these anti-trans legislation, it's wearing it's weighing me down. It's weighing me down. Um, and you'd say, well, how does this affect you? You're an adult. You've already transitioned. You're not a trans you child, but it's reliving. I'm reliving what it is like to have been, what I went through, and what these other kids are, it's like I said, it's reliving these experiences, and just, the shame and the guilt and the frustration and not understanding, and feeling so bad for these children who have been able, to share with their parents what's going on in their lives. And their parents have been so understanding that they'll take the children and participate in their life, to take the child and get counseling, and they find more, they research information about it, and they might consider their child, getting on some sort of androgen or blocker or what, I mean, they love their children so much, they accept them and whatever. And here you have someone who's totally ignorant coming in and saying it's child abuse. Oh, it just weighs heavily upon my heart, and it's been kind of rough. And it kind of helped me out today. I wrote a bit of text, which I'm going to look at. So I'm going to put another screen up here. Sorry, my eyes are a little foggy. It's late. Um, it was a rough day. Uh, my cats, they knocked some stuff off my shelf, and it was kind of how my day started. Stuff that I cared about being broken on the floor. Um, and you know, I'm very happy for that I'm able to take care of my children when I'm trying to see what's really pertinent to being transgender. Um, yeah, here I wrote, I think at the moment I'm tired of reality. Perhaps it is just my perception of it. I'm tired of reading about human beings killing each other and intentionally making each other's lives hell. If we are truly all God's children, we are quite hellish to our kin. I am thankful for my daughters and my sons. They keep me going. Um, and then in the next paragraph, I wrote about, you know, and in the news, uh, the George Floyd case, the police officer who murdered the George Floyd, got convicted of murder, which is great for him getting convicted. Um, but you know, uh, we've been talking so much about white guilt and about systemic racism and everything, and how unfair that is, and the degree of things that are uh, you know systemic racism or being in a position of privilege. It not doesn't necessarily mean, although I think it does imply, that you have more assets. Not necessarily that you have more assets or more resources, but it is the lack of obstacles. You know, it may be more easier to do things like go to college, to get a home. Again, they're talking about systemic racism. Um, and then I wrote here, I said, that said, at another level, cisgender folk have it better than trans folk at a life altering level. Try as we might to justify our existence or make ourselves understood and accepted, if we are out of early adolescence, we are shackled to a degree by our bodies. A round peg does not fit in a square hole. You can add things, you can change things, but there are limitations, especially dependent upon the age at which you start to transition. And so then I wrote in the next paragraph, I said, for us older people, all we can try to do is to make things better for the people who come after us, if they are so lucky as to be born to understanding and supportive parents. And I guess what I was trying to get into that is that, you know, uh, in the one level we talked about, privilege and the lack of obstacles, the lack of challenge, that you have less obstacles, and that a trans person, you know, has just so another level of obstacles and challenges into being who they want to be, who they are. And in my case, I had a number of false starts. I did this for so many years and ignored my transition. I did another thing for so many years and ignored my transition. You know. Let's see, what else did I write here? um, Everyone's mileage may vary, but as good as transitioning can be, we are still only emulating what we think things should be, what feels right to us. We cannot know exactly what is authentic, as that is a first-hand experience we may never get to have, and for better or worse, we are tainted or blessed by the experiences we do have in our formative years. And uh, what I was trying to get at there was the idea that, and I even say it when I close my videos, I say, I wish you the best of luck in becoming your authentic self as you define it. And I've heard that term for a long time, to become your authentic self, which is very true. But in the same way that we cannot truly know 100% what someone else is feeling, and we can come very close, we can be empathetic, we can be sympathetic, we can try to understand. We are never going to know 100% what that is like. And so the saying that I've heard, many, many, many times over the years is, trans women are women. Trans women are women, you know. And I guess what I'm saying is that in this paragraph is that we aspire to be what we think it is to be a woman, okay? And I realize you've got the genderbread man and the gender unicorn, and there's different spectrums of gender and sexuality and everything else. But I think we really need to be honest that uh, we are feeling ourselves, our authentic feelings. But can we really say that is what someone else is feeling? You know, um, I don't think we can. You know, we feel the way we feel, and we define what we feel. You know, but we can't exactly equate that with what someone else is or what they've felt. Okay. Let's see here. And you might disagree, and that's fine. Uh, what else did I say here? Is that I wondered, I speculated in my writing here that, um, you know, right now, what we can do when we transition is, some body altering stuff with hormones as we're switching from one set of blueprints to the other. There's appearance things we can do, whether it be cut our hair or not cut our hair, style our hair, and the way that we dress and we present ourselves. And to a degree, there's a certain amount of surgery you can have, facial feminization, trach shave, everything else. Um, but what I kind of wondered is, someday if there may actually be um, some sort of DNA manipulation, you know, if you could imagine, you know, if your body is like a fabric, a tapestry, and you had the ability to alter your chromosomes on that, fabric level, the threads of the fabric of that tapestry, and change your chromosomes, to XX or XY. You know what I'm saying? Um, think of the change that might happen. I mean, it would almost be kind of scary. Um, I mean, it would be fantastic. It's fantastic is in great, but also fantastic is in strange. Um, to have so much change over presentation. But I mean, you know, you wouldn't be limited by your bone structure. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you would be. I don't know. I haven't thought this through. That's a half-baked idea. But you know what I mean. Um, the things that we can do, and a lot of it depends on your age, are, you know, very mechanical. I'm cutting things away. I'm, plastic surgery. I'm cutting here and stretching here and pulling and tucking and hopefully it all fuses back together the way I want it to be. Or, with hormones, you might be able to move your body fat around your body, but it's not going to be, as good as if you had that change done while you were still in the womb, in the incubator. So I thought that would kind of be and there was a woman who I can't remember her name now, trans woman who kind of came up with this idea. She said, I think in the future, um, you know, children will be born and automatically be put on some sort of androgen. And so, you know, you will have, a sexual declaration. You know, the child was born with this characteristic, a penis, a vagina. But then they won't go through puberty until they decide to go through puberty, and they will get to choose if they want to be of a specific gender. And then you get into some binary stuff and some stereotypes and whatever else. But again, can you imagine, um, you know, maybe being in middle school, or not middle school, elementary school, kindergarten, and the children, while yes, they could identify themselves as boys and girls, they would just be students. And then, you know, um, they decide, kind of like confirmation in religion. Um, they decide what gender they want to be. Based off their gender. Well, I'm sorry, rephrase that, rewind that. They decide what sex they want to be. To align things. You know, so I thought it was kind of neat. Let's see here. What else did I write? Did I write anything else? Um, the last thing I kind of wrote was kind of controversial. I don't necessarily want to put that out just yet, but um, you know, it's about suffering, and that's a hard thing for me to talk about because I don't like to suffer. I don't like suffering. I don't like pain. That's my nature. Um, I do a lot of things inherently to avoid pain and dealing with pain. But, you know, I think part of this process is learning how to deal with suffering and how to deal with, I won't exactly say a lack of, what I want to say as good as it gets, but the idea of maybe mitigation of suffering, to understand that, um, even, I'm going to say Jazz Jennings, but, you know, a trans person who at an early age gets on, and anti-energy, gets on blockers and transitions the way they want to. And I kind of, again, I'm going to say Jazz Jennings. You know, um, she was prevented from playing soccer on the girls' soccer team because she was not a cis girl. And so she had to mitigate that suffering. And I kind of wanted to write to the idea that, you know, I think it's somewhat of a fallacy to think that we're going to transition and everything is going to be wonderful and perfect. And we're not going to have a bad day. I mean, that's almost too concocted, but you know, um, I want to say that I think it's normal to be a post-op and to be unhappy. You know, not all the time, but just a realization that this is as good as it gets, and a lot of that's going to depend on your age and stage. But you know, we suffer. We are gonna suffer. Hopefully not much, but we are gonna suffer for the rest of our lives. I mean, it's gonna be, it's a daily. I know for me, it's like almost a daily thing. I'm not as X as I want to be, but I'm happy with who I am. You know, but there still is a bit of suffering that goes on. And I don't think that can be addressed. It could definitely be mitigated with therapy, with counseling, and you get into depression and anxiety, and you get into other things that might require some drugs, antidepressants. Okay. But I think to live this life, we suffer. We suffer on a daily basis. And it's just part of it. And you can say, well, that's life. You know, no one said life was fair. But I think we just have to kind of accept it. It's part of the condition, you know, because we were not, I'm going to say right. We were not born into the right body, you know, when we were born. And so we suffered for a period of our life. And I think that continues after we transition, you know. But again, is it just normal middle-aged life? It's what we happens when we get older. Is this as good as it gets? I think it's more than that. I think again, it's an acceptance. And if you are better than I am, then you're beyond it. You're happy every day of your life. I mean, I can hope, but I think to be realistic is to understand that no matter how much uh, surgery you have, no matter how much hormones you have, no matter, we it is normal to feel inadequate. You know what I mean? You know, I don't know. Might be another half baked idea, but I did want to. I got an itch. Sorry, but I did want to share that. So anyway, that's my post, and I've cried a number of times today. I've just which is good because it means the estrogen is working. Uh, you know, there would have been a time when I just would have held it in. I had a period yesterday. I would have gotten just mad, and I'm able to articulate those feelings and communicate and get them out. So anyway, it's late. I'm gonna wrap it up. I do appreciate the bandwidth. I do appreciate you letting me talk and just kind of sharing a little bit about what's happening with me. I'm kind of excited. If this job goes through, it would be more opportunity. It would be more money. I'm hoping. Get to move, get into a real house again. Um, I'm still not giving up on a boob job. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I want curves. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, I'd rather put that money into my 401k so I can retire. It's kind of like this shit, you know. I stopped doing electrolysis because instead I'm putting that money into my 401k, and because of that, my 401k is growing, and uh, you know, I will be able to retire comfortably, assuming, knock on wood, I live that long. I will be able to retire and live pretty damn nicely because I'm willing to forego this, And that was my daughter who told me, she said, she kind of laughed at me. She said, well, I have to shave every day. And I'm like, you're right, she does. Women have to shave every day. I can put up with a little bit of stubble. All right, till next time, good luck to you and best of luck in your journey. All right. I'm not going to say authentic anymore because I don't know. What's authentic to you is going to be different to someone else. So I'll just say good luck. Good luck. Bye bye.